Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about missing items or order reports on Uber Eats. On Uber Eats, there are unfortunately circumstances where a customer doesn't even receive part or the entirety of their order. And while an opportunity to report that you didn't receive your order seems like a positive thing on the surface, the problem is that it's been weaponized too frequently in this day and age, and it has actually caused more harm than good to the driver community. So in this video, we are talking about missing items or order reports on Uber Eats, what they tell you versus how it actually is, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain, is never intended to be, legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that everything that we're going to be going over is very market to market and case by case, so what applies to me in my market may not apply to you. So with that said, let's get started. A quick note about order reports on Uber Eats. I find it interesting how many of these guidelines are not publicly available for anyone to refer to, or at least refer to directly before these incidents can actually occur. Some of them are common sense, but seriously, as somebody who likes to refer to their verbiage directly, I prefer to have some kind of reference point, and they just don't provide that for us. Regardless, I'm going to be presenting this as my story due to the lack of a real outline for this system. My story. I recently went to pick up an order for McDonald's for $14.07. It was going about 5 miles. It was a solid order. The order just felt like I was going through TSA at pickup. They wanted me to sign the receipt. They want me to put in a code. They want me to mark the order as picked up and on the way before even moving from the counter. And that isn't abnormal, especially with how pushy a lot of these restaurants can be. But nevertheless, it still felt ridiculous and overkill for how far they wanted to push me. That is until I did this order. So I proceed to the pickup and I approach the house where I'm supposed to drop it off. And for some reason, the customer's location turned off as I was approaching. And normally Uber pinpoints the location as you approach the drop-off location. And that didn't make much of a difference at the time because the customer stepped outside their home, they waved me down, they told me their name. And it's funny because the pin in the app was slightly off point, but the address was right there, the same as the one in the app. He was right there. He gave me all his information. And since this was a meet at door with no other requirements for the drop-off, I didn't think anything of it. So I head back almost immediately to get a notification for this report. I wanted to be mad. I wanted to talk about how he lived in a nice place, how bitter I felt when he scammed this system. But what I discovered about the reporting system itself was grossly under-equipped to handle these kind of reports, and no shit, he was able to pull it off. No structured point of reference. Uber gives you a chance to defend yourself, and on paper this sounds pretty good. You can tell your side of the story, upload photos, upload recordings, dash cam footage, any relevant files or documents referring to the order specifically, and that sounds great on paper. And it is actually a lot more than a lot of apps give you in terms of opportunity to defend yourself. But here's the problem. The report doesn't tell you which order was reported. Yeah, it literally just doesn't tell you. Imagine doing 10 orders back to back and suddenly get a report like, the customer claims the order was not delivered. Okay. Which one? How are you supposed to upload relevant files if you don't know what you're defending? That's like a cop arresting you for something, then not reading off your rights or giving you a real reason to arrest you. Now you could try to contact support to ask what it is, but they either won't tell you, claim that it's to prevent retaliation against the customers, which that's dog shit. And even if they do tell you, it's vague, incomplete, and you're probably going to be punished for just asking. I'll get to that in a minute. So the system expects drivers to provide exact evidence on this subject, but they won't tell you what evidence that you need to prove. Talk about guilty until proven innocent, right? Support often treats clarification as admission. This part to me is insane. Like when I reached out simply to ask which order it was, when I reach out simply asking which order this is referring to, because I want them to say which order it's referring to, as opposed to them claiming it was a different issue entirely. So they can never twist my words in that way. They treat it as that itself, the clarification itself, was the report I am saying. That was what my side of the story. And then found me guilty for not having sufficient evidence. I was asking a goddamn question. So in other words, you have to know which order was reported without them telling you. You have to upload evidence for that order. They don't tell you which order actually had the issue. And if you ask any questions on the subject, that's treated as suspicious. It's not a system designed for fairness, and quite honestly, it's questionably legal. It's a system designed for speed and cost control. And this is what Uber will never admit publicly on this subject, by the way. These reports quietly accumulate and become part of the case they use to justify eventual deactivations. That's why I wanted to ask which order this is referring to, so I could defend myself. But no, they don't want to do that. Weather and real-world conditions make evidence hard. Look, the day I got this order, it was pouring rain. And if anybody knows Florida and rain, it's either coming down hard and flooding the streets, or it's not coming down at all. So body cam wasn't happening. Meta glasses, not happening. Dash cam, not really gonna work here. Phone video, not when it's raining. So even though Uber pretends to give drivers an avenue to defend themselves, in practice, the system is set up so customers can report anything. Drivers are expected to prove the negative on the report they don't know the full story of, and Uber can freely deny appeals. No wonder people are losing their accounts over this nonsense. Why the system actually works this way. This is where platforms never tell you the truth. Uber's priority is cost control, not fairness. Investigating missing item reports costs money, takes time, requires manual review, requires humans and not AI, and slows down overall operations. Whereas the other hand, automatically siding with customers, charging restaurants, and penalizing drivers is the cheapest and fastest way to run the system. And here's the part that nobody tells drivers. This also builds a quiet paper trail that can be used later to justify your pattern of behavior for a reason to deactivate you. Even if every single report was false, it's on you. There's no incentive for Uber to build a transparent policy, a fair review system, a detailed evidence process, a notification of what order was reported and when, or even a reasonable appeal structure across any of their systems. And that's all about operational efficiency, not justice. What drivers can do to protect themselves. Now, because Uber gives you almost no information, drivers will need to create their own protection system. These steps won't guarantee immunity, really nothing is going to, but they will dramatically improve your ops. Always take a minimum set of photos, even for handoffs, like a photo of the house number, the door area, the photo of the building complex itself, or at least the name of it. You don't need to upload them unless there's a dispute, but keep them around. These baseline photos will give you something to work with, even if Uber never tells you what was actually reported. Use a quick verbal confirmation when you're meeting a customer. If the customer meets you outside or at the door, whatever, in a hotel lobby or something to that effect, ask the customer to confirm their name out loud during the handoff, and then hand them the order from there. That way, your dash cam or body cam can record the verbal confirmation, the audio can prove the handoff happened, and you have clear corroboration on that story. And that's going to protect you, especially when the customer location pin disappears or ships. Keep evidence in an organized folder. Have a folder on your phone or upload them to your computer, email them to yourself, whatever, for any of the deliveries that you do on any of these platforms, whether it's just the date, the restaurant, the address, etc. etc. Drop the photos in there. If you do 20 orders a day, it's going to take 30 seconds to do that. So that way, when Uber refuses to tell you the order, you can at least narrow it down by time and location. Customers waiting outside, the real world truth. Now, here's the thing. Customers waiting outside is actually extremely common. And most of the time, it's actually considerate. Like, they're trying to speed things up. They're protecting you from the rain. They're trying to make sure you don't even have to get out of your car or navigate a complicated building. It's actually kind of considerate in most cases. There's no real way to avoid these outside meetups, nor should you attempt to avoid them. But Uber doesn't really care about context. They care about getting the order delivered and fuck anything else. So ask the customer to confirm their info first. Never give it to them first. That's the single most important step here. What's the name on the order? Don't ask them if they are John, or if this is for 1234 Applewood Street, or if this McDonald's for Mike or nothing like that. Because what they could say is simply yes. So make sure they give you the correct name first. Who are you picking it up for? And legit customers will always answer instantly. Scammers will hesitate, they'll guess, they'll get it wrong, and that'll give you proof that something was off in general. Take a quick environmental photo before the handoff. So before the customer even reaches you, lift up your phone like you're checking directions in Snap. House number, building entrance, complex gate area, unit sign, what have you. You don't have to upload a photo unless you need it, but just save it. This gives you proof of location, even if the customer fails to meet you outside. Let your dash cam or body cam capture the verbal confirmation. Use your dash cam and body cam only for private documentation. Never upload these interactions publicly, by the way. Recording audio of a customer confirming their name can help you protect you from false reports, but only when you're using it correctly. This is strictly for your own security and evidence, by the way. Don't post it online, share it publicly, upload it to social media, or use it to expose or humiliate customers. I know that can be tempting, especially when they fuck you over, but even if you record it legally in your state and you're 100% morally right, uploading a private residential interaction on a public level can still violate privacy laws, breach platform policies, trigger safety concern deactivations, or give Uber a reason to claim you're creating risk for customers. There is a girl that had dealt with an indecent exposure issue and made a huge deal of it on TikTok and is now arrested for posting that online. The safe way to use recordings is to keep the footage private, store it only as documentation, and use it only if Uber asks for evidence, and never share it publicly unless you're legally compelled to do so. And that's going to keep you covered without giving Uber or the customer a legal or policy-based reason to take action against you. Recordings are for your protection, not for your content. Everything else can be kept private unless it's absolutely necessary. Document anything suspicious immediately. And look, obviously this is going to come down to instinct or just overall experience in the gig economy, but if something felt strange about one of the orders you do, jot a note of it in a log folder about the time, address, behavior, any discrepancies. And also another pro tip, talk without posting footage, talk about that instance on TikTok or have some sort of video explaining your side. Obviously, you don't want to post their stuff online, but having your own story documented on record can help you when it becomes critical. Uber's not going to tell you what got reported, so make sure you're credible in the long run. Final thoughts. Uber's missing item and missing order reporting system looks reasonable on the surface, but in practice, it's vague, inconsistent, and tilted against drivers. Drivers get no clear notification of what was reported, no transparent policy, no meaningful appeal system, a system that takes a customer's word word at face value, and reports that quietly build towards deactivation. So until Uber creates a fair and transparent system that I struggle to even get out of my mouth, realistically speaking, drivers have to protect themselves by capturing basic evidence, asking customers to confirm their information, using audio and video when it's possible and legal to do so, snapping environmental photos, and keeping logs of questionable orders. You can't control the customer, but you can control the documentation associated with the orders that you do. And documentation is going to be the only real defense in the system that Uber created. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, check out my website, drivenwyld.com. If you would like to learn more about the services and gig platforms we have talked about in the past and are offering to gig workers today. And if you want to stay on the cutting edge of what's happening in the gig economy today and be in the know of what most people are talking about, make sure to check out our new channel, the Gone Wild Live Clips and Podcast, where we take the live streams we hold on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, cut them down to more digestible clips, and have them posted there. Also, check out my Patreon for more exclusive clips, full-length live stream replays, and other membership perks for self-employed individuals who want to grow and scale their business. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.